This is your Daily 5 for Tuesday, July 14th, 2026. I want to talk about a story that just came out in the last week or so that reinforces what many others and myself have been saying and adds a new element to make it even worse than what it already started off as, which wasn't good to begin with. And that is the idea of age verification, or more specifically, the idea that you would turn over sensitive information to a company to prove that you are of legal age to view adult materials, whatever those might be classified as. So Discord disclosed that there was a problem with their AI moderation system that incorrectly banned users as posting objectionable material. Now, the specifics around what caused it are not really clear. There's been some theories I've seen, but I have not seen an official confirmation of anything from Discord. And that in itself is the first problem, is that they're using an AI moderation tool to examine user behavior and try to ban accounts, or I shouldn't say try, and ban accounts based on what they're seeing. And anywhere from 200 to 8,000 plus accounts were banned when this system failed. Now, that in itself, right there, forget anything else, that in itself is a big enough problem. And again, the reason that many others, including me, are saying don't give these companies any of your information, because at this point, as far as we know, it was just banning, which, don't get me wrong, is an inconvenience, and for some people may have had more serious impacts. But they also could have started notifying authorities. They could have sent this information. In fact, someday they may, by law, be compelled to provide this information so that authorities would investigate some of these people under false pretenses. Because again, it's not clear what caused this, but I think they are in the process of restoring all these accounts. But that's a significant number of people who were misidentified. And so who knows what impact that would have if this information was disseminated and the correction wasn't followed through with. And apparently there was a secondary bug where even when the human moderators or human oversight people looked at these bans and figured out that they were incorrect and tried to restore them, the unbanning was not accepted, I guess, by the system. That's a little unclear too to me, but essentially this moderation tool overrode or simply rejected the unban command, which also is a problem, because one of the fundamental issues here, and this is going to factor into what makes this even worse, is that many of these systems are not thoroughly understood, not only by the people who are utilizing them, meaning they purchased them from somebody else or licensed them, but by the people making these tools themselves. And they've admitted as such. They've said that. So this went on for about 2 months before they figured out what was happening. Okay? And the thing that is interesting to me is that because they didn't notice it, which is a negligence all its own, but I have trouble believing that. Instead, I think maybe nobody could figure out what was causing the behavior, the initial ban, and why the unbannings weren't happening. Now, it could also be a combination of things. It could have been one thing on one side and one thing on the other. Two things could also be true. But that should really concern people, that this went on for this long, either because this company didn't pay attention closely enough to people's accounts being banned, or, again, there's a part of me that thinks there's something to this, nobody could figure out what was happening. Now imagine you've turned information, you know what, start with this. If you don't trust your information to be blasted from a company out across the entire internet, don't give it to them. And this is, again, a two-pronged reason why you might not want to do it. One, the tools are not reliable. Maybe someday they will be. Hard for me to say. I couldn't say that never. Never is a long time. But at least right now, they're not reliable. And secondly, these companies clearly either are not equipped to properly handle it when they have problems, or they're not paying enough attention. And again, you put all that in combination with your personal information, and you should be exceptionally cautious who you turn information over to. This to me is just, there's going to be more of this. You know there is. But even this in itself, if it was only ever this bad, which it won't be, that should give everybody pause to stop and think about it. So when these requirements start rolling out, think to yourself whether it's worth using any of this stuff in terms of the risk of your stuff being exposed, to your account being locked out, or who knows what else. Just something to think about. Read the story. Decide for yourself. Later.